Tottenham Hotspur are once again at a crossroads. The hunt for a 13th permanent manager since 2001, when Enoch and Daniel Levy took over as majority stakeholders of the club. It is an all too familiar feeling for Spurs fans. The club have exhausted almost every option, from club legend to international managers, the assistant, a European Cup winning manager, an old school throwback manager, the new up and comer, internal appointment, young managerial prodigy, serial winner, Nuno, another serial winner, and still end up back at square one. An underwhelming season for Spurs fans has been further compounded by a comprehensive 6-1 loss to fellow top four contenders Newcastle United. Reports in the media suggest that after just 4 games, Christian Stellini, the man guided with the task of steering the ship until the end of the season, is likely to be sacked before Tottenham face Manchester United on Thursday night in the Premier League, with Ryan Mason set to become the second caretaker manager in just over a month. They say that it's darkest before dawn, and at the minute that is poignant for Spurs, as it feels like the decision makers at the club have been making multiple stabs in the dark, with the one constant at the club, the fans, being left to take each wound. £150 million capital investment from Enoch last summer, coupled with a strong finish to last season and some signings that on paper would excite Spurs fans, suggested that this could be a season where Spurs finally shake the connotations of being Spursy. Fast forward to less than a year later, and the club are without a first-team manager for both the men and women's team, a director of football who's just resigned off the back of a worldwide ban for cooking the books at Juventus, a squad completely bereft of any goal, unity and direction that the great teams of yesteryear were built upon, and Harry Kane, the all-time record goalscorer for both club and country, and arguably the greatest player in the club's history, looking around at a club which was once within touching distance of the biggest trophies in the game, and seeing a club that served with apathy and stripped of any genuine optimism of turning a corner in the near future. Kane's exit now looks inevitable, and even in an age where football is as partisan as ever, there would be few people associated with Spurs or not who could blame him for leaving. Going close under Pochettino, then trying trophy hoarder Jose Mourinho and sacking him a week before a cup final, Nuno eventually got Spurs' job through the process of elimination, and being a car crash, Spurs turned to another winner in Antonio Conte and watched the wheels come off after initial promise, and now his assistant, who is a pale imitation of his predecessor. The only man who has galvanised the club, the squad and the fans in the last decade has been Mauricio Pochettino. You know, the guy who got Champions League football for 4 seasons in a row, then to the Champions League final after 2 windows without any new arrivals? Well, he's currently unemployed, lives in London, loves the club and previously stated that he'd love to come back to Spurs again, just 4 months after being sacked back in 2019. Well, he's literally right there, waiting for the call, and looks set to walk into the Chelsea job unopposed, while the Tottenham hierarchy sit twiddling their thumbs about whether another caretaker manager further down the coaching department is better than the current caretaker, who's just lost 6-1 to a side 1 place above them in the league and substituted a youngster half an hour in to prove a point and then subbed his goalkeeper at half time. And Daniel Levy, the guy who did not do any interviews with the press or address the situation to the fans who pay the most expensive season tickets in Europe. Yeah, well, he's finally ready to take questions about Tottenham from university students who are poking fun at the club in front of his very eyes.
I've got a very simple question. What do you think of Tottenham?
For even the most staunch defenders of Daniel Levy and Enoch, the picture is as clear as ever during his tenure that they're simply not up to it, at least in a football sense. For the majority of their ownership, it has been about the next time and the next time, and not about the now. With a few exceptions, almost every footballing decision made by the Spurs hierarchy has been wrong. The only managers that Spurs seemed to be progressing and building hope under was Martin Jol, who was sacked at half-time of a game he was managing and winning. Being arguably the only person in White Hart Lane that night unaware of the decision. And there was Harry Redknapp, who was crying out for 1 or 2 quality additions to push into a title race, but got Ryan Nelson and Louis Saha and was sacked at the end of the season. Of course, Mauricio Pochettino, who took Tottenham to genuinely inconceivable heights with a lack of support in the transfer window, until one window where he was finally backed, and then sacked 2 months after because the squad that was depleting for a while wasn't magically fixed with 3 signings who are yet to be bedded in. The next manager has to be one of 2 candidates for me, Mauricio Pochettino or Julian Nagelsmann, who both fit the bill of the generic Tottenham DNA that Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy said the club would go back to after defensive football under Jose Mourinho, before ending up with Nuno, another defensive coach, and then Antonio Conte, another defensive coach. On the field, the squad needs major surgery. Too many players have outstayed their welcome and been allowed to repeatedly put in subpar performances without repercussions. A club captain and a goalkeeper who was once great is now at the lowest point of his Spurs career and on the wrong side of his 30s. A list of 6 centre-halves where just one looks capable of being a mainstay at the club in the future, with the right coaching and direction of course. Fullbacks who either lack defensive instinct or attacking intent. Central midfield who, whilst all are combative, lack a creative profile. Forwards who have underperformed in a system which has been troubled since the start of the season, and a £50 million addition who has been shoehorned into the side out of position all season in his 15 to 20 minute cameos at the end of each game, and has arguably had his confidence shot to pieces. At least there is Harry Kane, fan favourite, normalised excellence, reaching goal-scoring heights that will not be matched for generations. A player who, even at 5-0 down, is still determined to put his name on the goal-scoring charts in a game where everyone associated with Spurs wanted to erase it from their memory. Oh wait, what's that? Kane only has a year left on his deal and will either leave on a free or sold in the summer if we don't match his lofty ambitions. For